In this video I want to go back to the message of the dowry, having looked at the founding of the Shrine of Our Lady of Walsingham, and take a little bit more of a look at what the dowry is following the founding of the shrine. Because there are those who would say that the title of England as Our Lady's Dowry is believed to originate from Edward the Confessor, though some of the stories would suggest not. It would suggest previous to Edward the Confessor, as I've already alluded to. But the fact that England was a Dowry of Mary was widespread by the middle of the 14th century, and King Richard II in 1381 dedicated England to Mary in a ceremony at Westminster Abbey on the feast of Corpus Christi in thanksgiving for his kingdom being saved at the time of the peasants' revolt. And in 1399, Thomas Arundel, Archbishop of Canterbury, wrote to his suffragan bishops. He wrote this: "The contemplation of the great mystery of the Incarnation has drawn all Christian nations to venerate her, from whom came the first beginnings of our redemption. But we English, being the servants of her special inheritance and her own dowry, as we are commonly called, ought to surpass others in the fervour of our praises and devotions." So when was this? When did England, when did we get this title, or when did we get this, as it were, this reputation? You have to go back to the 7th century, really, the time of Augustine, Augustine of Canterbury, not Augustine of Hippo. Augustine of Canterbury, who is sent by Pope St. Gregory the Great to convert the English. And he sets up base in Canterbury and he preaches the gospel, and many thousands are converted to Christ. There are Christians already here, but many thousands are converted. The fruit of that ministry in the 7th century meant that within a century or so, England became known as the Isle of Saints. There were many saints coming out of these islands, and we had a church council held in the north called the Council of Whitby, at which was set the date for Easter. We had great saints come out of these isles at that time, and we became, as I said, the Isle of Saints. And you've still got these in the remnants of this, with all these villages from Cornwall up to the Scottish borders named after saints, and a great heritage of saints. I have an app called Universalis on my mobile phone, and my country is set to England on it. You can actually set your country so that it gives you the liturgy for that country. The number of times English saints are coming up on my phone for the day of, for the liturgy for the day. And these saints were way back in the 7th, 8th, 9th century. They're not modern saints, they're way back. And so it kind of keeps reminding you of the rich heritage that we have in this country that was stripped from us by Henry VIII in 1538. Prior to that, England had been a Catholic nation for 1,000 years, a nation of great saints. And I'm going to take you through some of these saints in a later video when we look at the litany of English saints and martyrs. And it's a long litany. I might actually try and say the whole litany out on a video or two for you, so you can get a flavour for it. And you can get these litanies from the shrine. They'll be available in Westminster Cathedral in March. But that 500-year period after the founding of the shrine, when England was Catholic, when people were coming to the shrine, this was a time where England had been a Dowry of Mary for many centuries already. And people were coming because they had this devotion to Our Lady. And they recognized that Our Lady was the one who was sent by Christ to answer our prayers. She was the mediatrix of all graces. That's not just a modern thought. That actual idea goes back many centuries. More to come on the same topic.